Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Off the Clock podcast. I'm Rick Gorman with my faithful partner, Scott Chandler. It's been 2 weeks since we've been in the studio. We worked out some of our kinks technology-wise, so hopefully that'll be a clean podcast today on most levels. So, Scott, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
No, not too much. Was up in Portland, Maine, one of your favorite cities, for a week. Had a great time up there. Took in a Sea Dogs game, and we just missed Roman Anthony by one game, which was too bad. So, and I think he went deep. We went to a Sunday game. I think he played the following Monday, and he went deep, so we missed that, but it was a great time. Went to a couple of your favorite spots in Portland. We went to Jay's Oyster. You like Jay, right? You like that? Maybe the best seafood casserole I ever had. I think $34, a rare bargain. Pretty good. And
did you have to wait to get in?
No, we went early.
That's right. Yeah, you eat like at 3:30 in the afternoon, right?
3:30 is late. No, we actually, I think we were there around 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, like on a Friday, and we thought it might be busy, but I think we just missed the rush. We actually were able to sit outside. It's a great spot. That place is underrated. I mean, their seafood's insane. It's so good.
Big time.
Yep.
For people to go up there the first time, it's a very unassuming, it's right on the water, but it's a very unassuming place.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a great view. On the water is a little misleading because you look out in the water and it's all dirty. It's all kind of, there are a couple of boats. It's not a bad view, but
proximity of the water, I guess I'll change that.
Yeah, it's on a pier. It's on a dirty pier. Let's put it that way.
For sure.
But it has a feel. It has that Portland feel to it. It's really cool. And after that, we went to a place called the Chocolate Bar, which they have a lot of chocolate desserts, and they have you wouldn't think I would like this. They have martinis, and I've never had a martini before, but they come in they serve it in this glass. It's filled with chocolate. It's insane. It was really, really good. So enjoyed that and had a good week.
As a type 2 diabetic, I might have to take a pass on the chocolate bar, but it did sound like a good one. So,
if I was wise, I probably would have taken a pass too, but I had to.
So the travels of Scott Chandler continue. You going to stay home for a little bit?
Yeah, we're staying home. Yeah, we might be going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for Labor Day weekend. That's still not. We're not sure yet.
See your brother-in-law?
See my brother-in-law. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. For me, the last 2 weeks, really continuing to navigate things and had a lot of free time. Spent a lot of time, obviously, up at the beach. It's been great weather.
Still no tan, dude.
Yeah, right. I do have to watch. The tan is getting really, really dark. I was asked about it at the haircut today. Got a nice fresh cut today. 2 things that happened for me the last 2 weeks that I'm really pumped about is I was invited to a leadership culture training workshop at Suffolk Construction in Boston. And if people know, Suffolk Construction is the biggest construction company in Boston and one of the top 10 in the country. The owner, it's privately run. John Fish is an icon. I actually got to listen to him speak. And it was a full day with coaches, administrators, culture guys like myself. Got a real lot out of it. And what an operation down at Suffolk Construction. So as I'm driving up 93 when I left, pretty pumped about how this is, going to be some takeaways for me for some of the culture stuff I did. And then the second thing is a little shameless plug here, embarking on another little initiative here at CAM. I'm going to be running a podcast, a little similar to my 100-episode podcast with the Youth Center. It's called Steel, and Steel is a podcast about strength that's forged through life's greatest challenges. And really psyched about this. It's going to start in September. And we got a lot of different people, ordinary people, not famous people, just people like me and Scott that have been resilient and overcome a lot of life's obstacles. Obviously, this is a big subject for me as someone that has had to be resilient and overcoming a number of different life challenges. So I'm going to have some great guests here here at NACAM, and looking forward to that starting in September. So on top of that, just getting ready for my fall schedule with BST training. So good couple of weeks.
How do you feel about leaving me in the dust with another podcast? You going to be all right?
Well, we're going to be doing it every other week, so some So 1 week we'll have the off the clock. The next week we'll have steel. I think you'll be a good listener. I actually think this is something you might find intriguing, or at least depending on who the guest is. I could see you tuning in, and I could see you not tuning in. So. Do I feel guilty about leaving you the dust? This is a solo show on this, but obviously looking forward to continuing our growth with Off the Clock.
Do you think you get better ratings than we get?
Oh, I know you're an analytics guy, so after the first episode, we'll compare some notes on that.
All right, we'll have to see how you do versus us.
So obviously, we've been busy. We're having some fun, enjoying life a little bit. For me, entering month number 7, just really starting to get my footings a little bit on this stuff, and we'll continue to update. Maybe in September we'll do our next update of where we're at with stuff. So.
Yeah, but just a quick question. So you spend more time up north, right? And you're going to settle in there. How's that going? Because I think people would be interested in that.
Yeah, I think the real test will be in October when I move up there permanently, but I have been up there the last few weeks, and I got 1 more week, so it's obviously unbelievable during the summer. It's unbelievable to be up there by the beach. Again, the test, and I know you're worrying about this, is what happens. I think the fall is going to be awesome up there. I do wonder I do probably have a little anxiety, about January, February. So we'll keep you up to date on that.
Yeah, but strong El Nino might be a low snow winter.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, like I tell everybody, I came down this morning. It's only an hour and 5 minutes, so it's really not. It's just a longer commute, which you are an expert at commute. So
that is true.
We'll say that. All right, let's jump into a couple things. Before we get to 2 topics that we want to talk about today, I've been getting some feedback from some people, and I've been reading about this, and this is a subject that is close to your heart. So you have been what I would call the king of saunas. I probably think for maybe 10 years that I've known about it. You actually live in the sauna. You've had some great stories about the sauna, which we may or may not get something new. I know the Wildcats are looking for a sauna story. But reading a lot of science today on saunas, and that one of the newest things that, people getting a pool, people getting a hot tub in the house, the new thing is to get a sauna. So, and again, you're not an expert, but you've probably been in a sauna more than the average person. Talk to me about your opinion as we age. Well, it doesn't even have to be age. What's the benefits of being in a sauna?
Yeah, well, and that's a good question. You're kind of throwing this question out in the blue for me. So, but I think the benefits, if you read about it, are cardiovascular health. I think it helps that. I think mentally it helps. You sweat a lot. I sweat a lot anyhow when I work out, but you sweat more, so I think you get those benefits. I wouldn't call it a social benefit. Like when I'm sitting in the Y sauna, I'm kind of hoping nobody comes in. And I don't have any good stories.
Why is that?
I don't know. Just kind of do your own thing, because somebody else comes in, and like I think I said in the initial podcast we did, people come in and, they might not have many clothes on and they're stretching, and some people are making noises, and it can be weird. Other times people just have their head down doing their own thing. Sometimes people want to talk. They want to talk politics. They want to talk sports. And, sometimes I just put, even because sometimes you lose, I have my phone connected to my headphones, and sometimes you lose power in there, so you can't hear. I act like I'm hearing, and I pretend I'm listening, and they ask me a question. I go, "What'd you say?" Then if it seems like the guy's going to engage in a normal conversation, I'll pull him out. But if not, I won't. So
you're a little bit of fraud in the sauna. You don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah. Now the cat's out of the bag now, so I don't know what I'm going to do when people. But
all right. As somebody that's intrigued with this, and obviously my Planet Fitness has now developed and actually have a form of a sauna. It's a little bit different than what you're used to at the Y. How long are you in there for? Any negatives with the sauna? What's it like being in the sauna by yourself? Not the fact that you have to communicate with people, but having the place to yourself as opposed to, I don't know, how many people fit in there?
Yeah, so I'm in there for probably 20 to 30 minutes a day, whatever it is, after I work out. And some people go in before they work out, which makes sense too, kind of loosen up before they play basketball, before they, run, whatever they do. So, but I'm in there for 20, 30 minutes. The negatives, I don't think there were a lot of negatives. I mean, because I go in there and I feel pretty good. Some days, if I have a long workout, I probably don't need the additional sweat, but now it's become a habit, and I feel guilty if I don't go in there for my 20, 30 minutes. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to. I don't think I have a lot.
Do you drink water while you're in there?
Yeah, I bring in. I fill my. I have a water bottle that I fill, and I usually drink the whole thing. And it can vary. It can vary how hot it is in there too, and that will be dependent about how long I stay. Sometimes people put and this isn't good either. They put a towel around the sensor so it heats up extra. And when people, you're not supposed to do that, but when people do that, it gets really hot in there. And I think it's bad for the sensor too. But that's beside. This is kind of. But anyhow.
What's the negative for, we're in our sixth decade. Do you see people in there that are our age, older than us, and is it any kind of a health concern? Say there's a 75-year-old guy in there. Is he worried that the towel's on top of the sensor and it's going to get too hot in there?
No, not too many people seem to worry about that. No. And it runs the gamut. I mean, you see kids in there. You see. You see, there was a 95-year-old guy from North Reading that showed up there once in a while. I haven't seen him for a while, but he would say the same stories over and over. He was a good guy to talk to, though. So it runs the gamut.
You didn't fake like you had your headphones on?
No, not with him. No, there are a couple of guys that are really cool, that are really interesting. But you start talking sports, and some people, you know how it is with sports.
Yeah.
It depends. People have their own opinions, and politics, people have their own opinions, and it's just, I just want to relax and kind of shut out the world when I'm in there. I don't want to go down a deep path with anybody in the Y sauna.
How many times a week do you do it?
Probably every day.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, unless I'm traveling. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's your? Why are you asking these questions? What's your obsession with saunas?
I don't know if it's an obsession because I've known you, and I've been in saunas many times. When I used to have our place up north, was in the sauna a lot. Obviously, I've been in the sauna at the Y, but I don't go as regular as you do. But I believe there's more documentation out on everything from social media to written documentation around that's basically saying this is a health benefit. This is something people should take a look at. And then the thing is, talking to a builder who actually, you asked Bernie this question, that basically said he's doing a lot more of people are asking to have a sauna built into their renovation of their house or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I think there's a lot of people like that. And there's also been a lot of studies done in Scandinavia, right? I think that's where it was really big. And a lot of those studies, and again, I think obviously the sauna companies are going to cite those studies, but there's been a lot of studies that come out very, very pro that there's a lot of benefits. And, I don't know if there are or not, but to me, I think that, mentally I like it. So, it is what it is.
All right, one last thing. Clyde Cahill called in, and he wants to make sure, do you have any new sauna story?
I really don't. I'm trying to think of my memory banks of any great story, and I really don't have any. It's been kind of a boring place. If I could pull something out, I would, but I can't think of any.
All right, and there's a lot of our listeners that are glad that you can't. So.
And I think some of them are disappointed because I just describing some of the people in there is a story in and of itself, but I'm not going to go down that path.
All right, let's jump into. We have two major categories that we want to jump into today, and then obviously we'll have our brewery review before we wrap things up. So one of the things we talked about is we're going to go back and forth and talk about 5 personal influential movies in our 6 decades of life. Now again, for listeners, we're not saying these are the best movies. These are movies that we found influential for whatever reason. So we're going to go at it. We got 5 each. I got a couple of honorable mentions. I'm sure Scott will too. But let's start it off with Scott Chandler. Give us your first.
All right. It's going to be interesting to see if we have any overlaps here. And movies are tough. I've watched so many movies, and it was hard to come up with 5 influential ones. But my first one is going to be a weird one. It's going to be Mary Poppins. Came out in 1964. And it's the first movie I ever saw at the theater. And I was 4 years old, so I actually remember going to the movie, though. And I remember my dad, at the end of the movie, lost his car keys. And and it was kind of a traumatic thing for me because we went out and he couldn't start the car. And, you're 4, I don't know what the heck's going on. So I think I got upset and we go into the theater. I remember a guy with a flashlight helping him out. He found his keys, but I do remember being fascinated with the whole scene when she comes down with the umbrella, and it just, I can remember it, and it was it's a good memory. It's a good memory. So Mary Poppins, number one.
Yeah, I don't know if I had that on your bingo card, but that's an interesting one. And I think for people our age, it is a movie I think almost everybody saw in the movies. So interesting.
Yeah.
All right, my first one is going to be, and a lot of people know this, it's my favorite movie of all time, so I'm a little partial on this, but It's a Wonderful Life obviously came out in 1946, was a bust of a movie to start, and has now become something that you can watch 15 times during Christmas. Jimmy Stewart, obviously. And it's, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. It comes out around Christmas time and everything. It's about the value of an ordinary life. And for me, it really hits home of you sometimes think your life's not valued. And then, if you weren't in life, how did that impact different people? So it's a movie that I've probably watched 400 times, and I will be honest that I will watch it 5 more times this Christmas. So It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, so I think we went to that with my son and his wife probably 6 or 7 years ago in Harvard Square during Christmas time.
Yeah.
And what a great time. And I think I saw the smartest homeless guy I think I've ever seen. When the movie got out, he was sitting right at the exit with a can or something. Everybody put money in his can.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, everybody. The guy hit a home run.
Yeah, guy probably made a couple thousand just after every show, but very smart as well. But all right, what's your number 2?
I struggle with my number 2 because I was going to go 2 different directions. When I was a kid, on my birthday, I always would go to IHOP. That was a big day for me, and then we would go to the movies. And there was a movie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's not going to be the movie I picked, but that was in the running. But instead, I went a totally different direction and went with Deliverance. So Deliverance came out in 1972, and I was 12 at the time, and it was the first movie I saw that really rattled me.
Wait a minute, did you actually get into that movie?
Maybe I saw it in 1973. I don't know. I think I saw it in the theater. I know that
because I think it was rated R.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't remember exactly. I can't tell you who I was with when I saw it, but my brother. I had an older brother, and that was his favorite movie. So I watched it with him. So I don't know if I went with him. I can't remember the specifics, but it was the first movie that I was like, it rattled me. You watch it and you go, holy crap. And 12 is young for a lot of stuff happens in that movie, and 12's kind of young for that. So it had a huge impression on me. And my brother and his friends, he was in, I think at that point he was a senior in high school. A junior or a senior in high school, and he went on a camping trip with his friends, and they made a big deal out of being a Deliverance trip. And I was like, Jesus, be careful, So, but Burt Reynolds and the whole, and the scenery in that, the book was excellent too, but the scenery in that is also really cool. But the kid playing the banjo when they're walking, I mean, just some classic scenes, right? And the music in the banjo thing is awesome, The dueling guitar thing is awesome. So that sticks out in my head.
Well, you always looked a little older than your actual age, but we might have had to call the social services on your parents for allowing you to go to that movie. Some of those scenes, as an adult, is disturbing to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember some people said I looked like the kid playing the banjo. I don't know if that was a compliment or not.
Not a compliment.
Okay.
All right, my number 2, I'm going to go back in the day, 1957 actually, and
Jeez.
it's a movie.
Two old ones, dude.
Yeah,
before you were
starting
born.
out with 2 old ones.
Yeah.
Like a couple of the black and white movies, but this was 12 Angry Men, and I know you've probably seen this movie.
Great movie.
Henry Fonda, Lee Cobb, Jack Klugman, E.G. Marshall, and it's obviously just pretty much the characters are the jury, and it's about justice, prejudice, heavy burden, and reasonable doubt. And for me, at that point, when I first saw it, thinking about a career in law, and it was just really interesting to see the transformation of people's views, values, prejudices during the whole thing. And it is a movie that if I see it on TV, on regular TV, I will plug it in for at least for a little bit. Just it had a big effect on me. And again, back then I'm thinking I'm want to be an attorney, so I had a definite interest with that.
What year do you think you saw it?
Oh, I didn't see it till I was probably 20 years old.
Okay,
So
well,
yeah, I mean, I wasn't alive in '57, but
Right.
but yeah, it is a movie that I just think great portrayal of the characters by those people. It was just really good cast. Really
Yeah,
good cast.
that's a great movie. I mean, that's got to be listed. I actually didn't look at any list, but that's got to be listed as a top 100 movie, right?
After I did my list, I look at it is in the top 100. Actually, it's in the top 50 of all time.
Yeah.
So
That doesn't surprise me.
no,
I would say A Wonderful Life is too.
no, it surprisingly is not. I think
Okay.
it's top 100, but
Okay. All
again, as we talked about it earlier, it was a bust when it first came out. People didn't really have much value for it, and it's gotten stronger, obviously,
Yeah, over
decades
time.
later.
Yeah.
All right, what's number 3 for you?
All right, number 3 is a weird one. Number 3 is Arthur. So that came out in 1981, and that was the first date I had with my wife. So I was a junior in college at the time, and we went out to see Arthur. But before the movie, we went to Ground Round, and she'll always tell this story too. And it was keep in mind it was our first date, and the Celtics games are on. And when we sat down, the hostess had her facing the TV and me facing away from the TV. So we got a bowl of peanuts. You know how Ground Round, you had the peanuts, and so we got a bowl of peanuts. And I looked at her. I said, "Do you mind switching seats so I can see the game?" And she looked at me. She said, "Yeah, that's no problem." So we switched seats, but she'll always remind me of that. But anyhow, that had nothing to do with the movie. But the movie was a great movie. Dudley Moore plays a drunk. Who's the woman? I can't think of her name. Very famous. Yeah, but Dudley Moore plays a great drunk in it, and just a feel good kind of easy movie to watch, and just sticks out in my head because of the first date.
Yeah. Also
Isn't that romantic?
Yeah, it was really romantic when you made her change seats. So she knew what she was getting into right away with that. Arthur's theme was a great song that came from it. Yeah, good movie.
Who sings Arthur's theme? Silence.
I think I know it, but I don't. Do you know it?
Christopher Cross.
Christopher Cross. That's right. Very good. All right, for number 3 for me was one that was probably your type of Deliverance. I did see this in the movie theater. I went with my older sister. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Obviously with Jack Nicholson, lovely Louise Fletcher as the nurse, a young Danny DeVito and young Christopher Lloyd in it. But obviously about institutional control, individuality versus conformity, power and authority were some of the themes from it. But I loved it because I did have an interest in like state institutions and the history of all that, but it also had such a hysterical parts of it. Some of the parts were really funny. I'll never forget the fishing trip that Jack broke them out to go on, and just one of those classic movies. Another one that's definitely top 100. But it did show you a lot about institutions and the stuff that kind of went on there. And obviously we don't really have those anymore, but I think a classic movie, and Jack was amazing in it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Wildcat reunion, right? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I would think. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Doc was actually Danny DeVito or Clyde was Chief.
Doc's actually too tall, I think, to be Danny DeVito. Yeah.
So, some classic characters. But, yeah, when I do think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and some of the fun stuff, the basketball game, the fishing trip, stuff like that, I could relate it to our Wildcats. So,
yeah.
All right, what do you got for number 4?
Yeah, number 4 is just a movie I really like, and it's Goodfellas, right? And I like gangster movies. I know everybody loves The Godfather. I actually like Goodfellas a little better. It's shorter for one, but I just really like Goodfellas. Joe Pesci is, the famous scene, the clown, and You Call Me a Clown. It's just a great movie, and I don't know. And I've always liked those gangster type movies. So that's number 4.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Goodfellas is an outstanding movie, and I also like it better than The Godfather. So yeah, that was actually in my top 10. But yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I think I have about 10 honorable mentions. I have so many honorable mentions.
I'm sure we both do.
Tough to do, but.
All right, number 4 for me is another movie I know you like. I know you saw it in the movie theater. I do watch this movie whenever I get a chance to, at least parts of it, because I take different parts of some of the stuff I do in my own professional life, my consulting life, and that's Good Will Hunting. Obviously, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, our local guys here from Mass, and then, incredible performance by Robin Williams. Most people, I think, have seen it. The healing power of authentic relationships. In working as a social worker and a psychologist, I saw a lot of these similar relationships over my years and trying to help people, and just a lot of great stuff based here. I mean, I also think the scene in the bar in Harvard Square. Where I think it was Casey Affleck says, he's wicked smart. But yeah, a great movie. I think it's a lot of takeaway from it. Sad at times, funny at times, and then the real hope at the end with, Matt Damon's character getting the heck out of here. So Good Will Hunting, 1997.
All right, that's a good one. So for my last one, I all my movies prior to this had been before year 2000, right? So I asked myself, what movie did I really like the most in the 2000s? What movie have I watched that every time it comes on I want to watch again, that it hits me for some reason, I really like it? And I came up with Whiplash. Mm-hmm. I thought Whiplash was so well done, and it gives you that feeling, kind of that college feeling, right? When you're in a class and a professor gets mad at you, a professor puts you on the spot, and it does that on steroids. And it was just, to me, a classic movie. And it kind of reminded me about that when we had WB on, him talking about some of the stuff he saw and had to go through when he was trying out to get to the next level of music. And he said some of those scenes were obviously a little exaggerated, but somewhat real, So I thought that movie has always resonated with me.
Yeah, Whiplash, great movie. Actually, Waterboy's the one that turned me on to it. And every time I actually see this movie or parts of this movie, I think of Waterboy in his days probably at Berkeley, and then the character of the professor there or whatever. When you see him on commercials now, it just doesn't fit compared to what he was with Whiplash. So.
J.K. Simmons, right?
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. All right, my last one is going to be a surprise. So interesting. None of our 5 were similar, or the same ones. This one won an Academy Award in 2004, and a lot of people felt it was the worst Best Picture for decades. And it's a movie called Crash. And like you in Whiplash, this is a movie that I really go to a lot. And a lot of it is, the themes around racial prejudice, isolation, fear, anger, and needs for connection. I mean, the cast is phenomenal. I thought Matt Dillon was great in it. Sandra Bullock, always great. Don Cheadle, Brendan Fraser, Terrence Howard. I mean, just a really good characters that actually talked about, and it's pretty much a few days in the life of the craziness of Los Angeles, and a lot of things that happened during that. And it's a movie that I find myself having to watch every year. And I think I'm in a minority on this. I don't think a ton of people love it as much as I do, but extremely influential movie for me.
Yeah, I remember that movie, and again, I don't. It's not one that even made my secondary list, but I remember being a good movie. Yeah, but it didn't resonate with me like it did with you.
Yeah, and again, I think for me, around relationships and things like that, and what I see in my daily life, I think that's what it hit home. And it was a movie I can remember watching it one time, when my kids were young, and almost bawling, crying at one scene, which was just a really intense scene. So yeah, that was 2004. All right, we don't have to go through them specifically, but name some of your honorable mentions you had?
Jeez, I have like 10 of them, man. So how many do you want me to name?
I don't know, 3 or 4.
All right, Cool Hand Luke, because that might be my favorite movie of all time, honestly. But it just didn't fit into something that hit me at a certain point in time. Jaws has to be up there. We talked about Beautiful Girls, Schindler's List. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Forrest Gump, Life is Beautiful, Psycho. Mm-hmm. So, a ton of movies that when they come on, I'll watch them and just have good vibes about. How about you?
Yeah, for me, again, we don't really have the similar ones, but I had Rocky, one of the
Rocky.
first underdog movies that I really like. There was a phase I went into with Spike Lee and John Singleton with Boys in the Hood and Do the Right Thing. Those were two movies that I really, like and watch a lot. And then one is in honor of, and I didn't know he was going to pass away yesterday, Tim Curry, but there was a very different genre music that I used to go to Harvard Square during the 80s on Friday night at midnight and watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it was obviously a cult favorite, but it was a movie that had a lot of influence on me, just more on good times back in the day. So
did you want to dress up as one of the characters?
I did a couple of times, and I just tried to dress up like Tim Curry, but I was too afraid to do it with some of his outfits that he wore. But yeah, and then again, if you've ever been to it, you sit in the audience and you're actually part of the movie, throwing popcorn and things like that. So
that wasn't my thing. Yeah.
I would definitely predict if I had known you back then, you would have looked at me crazy doing that. So
so the only overlap we had was Rocky. That made my honorable mention.
Yeah.
The first movie I saw with a girlfriend I had in high school.
Nice.
Yeah. Again, it's tearing me up a little bit.
Memories.
Beautiful memories.
Memories. All right. So those were some of the influential movies that impacted us over the last 6 decades of our life. So I'm sure other people love to hear, if we see you out, let us know some of your favorite movies that go with that. All right, the second topic we wanted to talk about is, and it's things that when you get to this age, and I don't want to sound like we're old people, but you sit there sometimes and you say, you know what, as much as I love the speed and the technology and everything that's going on in the world right now, what are some things that when we look back with a lot of great memories and kind of wish to a certain degree maybe life was a little bit more like some of these things. So we were asked to come up with 5. I don't know if you came up with 5, but we'll go back and forth on this one too. So 5 things that Scott Chandler, give me your first one that maybe going back you think with great memories.
Yeah, and the first one's kind of a large, it kind of scans a large area, but it's the whole neighborhood feeling, right? Playing tag, playing street hockey, playing baseball, where you have to pull the ball or it's an out, playing stickball against the wall. I mean, just playing pickup basketball in your driveway. And just having all the kids together and running around the neighborhood, going from house to house. Some kid might have a pool. You jump in the pool. Those are good memories. And you're out until dark. I can remember our neighbor, we would listen to the bell, and that's when it was dinner time. The mother of the kid next door would ring her bell, and we would all, if we were 3 or 4 houses down, we'd hear it, and everybody would go home for dinner. Then we would be out after dinner, playing in the backyard, playing. And again, you probably over exaggerate the good feelings of that, but if you had issues, conflict, you worked them out yourself. It wasn't organized sports. It wasn't parental oversight. You were just out in the neighborhood doing your thing, and it was kids versus kids, and kids know the rules better than anybody else, right? So, and I just really good memories with that, and you don't see that. And again, this makes it sound like we're 100, but you don't see that much anymore. You really, when I pass even, and we've talked about this before too, but you pass the Drummond Park basketball, kids aren't playing pickup anymore. Right. Usually if you pass it, you see an adult there supervising kids in a layup line. There's just not the pickup stuff there used to be, And again, I get we sound old, but to me, those were some of the best days. And that's how you learn to conflict resolution. And, sometimes you get in a fight, and that's okay too, right? That's just the way things were. So.
Yeah, we didn't have any of the similarities on the movies, but this was my number one. I called it unorganized play, and it's just everything that you talked about, playing outside, unrestricted exploration. We used to play baseball out in the street. We used to play football out in the street. We'd get complaints from cars, and all of a sudden we would see the cop car coming, and we'd all have to run because the cops were coming to basically tell us to get out of the street. Got home home from school and, went out and did stuff and, didn't come home until, dinner. For me, it was 6 o'clock at night. I had to be home by 6 o'clock. I mean, I lived in Winthrop, and Winthrop had two forts, two actually World War II forts. So, whether it was Fort Banks or Fort Heath, we would go and explore and just have a great time. I can remember even being a young teenager getting on the bus and in the train into Boston. So this whole unorganized play, we didn't have adults telling us what to do every single day. And I tell you, to your point, conflict resolution, dealing with issues, you figured stuff out. I think that is such a loss. When I look at even our kids and it's different now even for the kids today, it's just crazy that kids do not know how to really do unorganized play.
Yeah, and that we've talked about this a lot, and you've seen it in your career, right?
Yeah.
In terms of seeing it kind of play out over the years. So,
all right, what's your number two?
Yeah, so number two, I'm going to go with a weird one, drive-in movies. So I grew up in Acton when I was a kid, and there was a drive-in movie right down the street. And I can remember we used to climb trees at night, and we could see the screen from we were maybe 3/4 of a mile away, and we thought it was the coolest thing. Actually going, where you just, you're in between movies, you walk up, you get the popcorn, you go back to the car, just kind of a lost thing, right? I really enjoyed a good drive-in movie. And you got the double feature thing, and sometimes your parents would let you see a pretty cool, if we went with my parents, we would see a pretty cool movie. So, good memories with drive-in movies.
Yeah, we used to have the Revere drive-in movie, 2 theaters. Actually, it might have been 3 outside, and it's now a regular movie place. But, yeah, piling everybody in there and having a great time seeing, and at that point it was first-run movies too. But, yeah, drive-ins for sure. For me, number 2 is something similar to you. Loving music the way I did was the record store experience. Like I lived in places like when I was growing up, it was this small record store called the Singing Cricket, but like Strawberries and many of the goodies and a lot of the different Tower records. I used to love just going in there and not just buying, but looking and like the whole feel, the music that was playing, the vibe that was going on there. And we don't have that stuff anymore. You can go to a vintage store to try to find some records, but it was something that I had to do on a regular basis. First job that I wanted to have was to be actually work in a record store. So I think the kids today kind of miss out on that. They just have to download Spotify and get their own playlist. So for me, record store experience. Yeah,
and I had kind of the same general theme there. So I had corner stores, like going to a spot where you kind of knew the clerk, and we get some baseball cards. And sometimes they didn't like having us there because we were kids and we could be a little obnoxious, and they would hurry us. Other times they were in a good mood. They talked to us and kind of kid around with us. But that's gone. That I don't know any. Those corners, and I can even remember I was a big kind of jock growing up, and I remember in Concord there was a sports store called McCone's, and we would walk in there. The guy knew us, and he'd come over, "How you doing?" And if I was buying a baseball glove, he'd come over, help us out, grab the baseball glove. If it was a basketball, he would show us the different basketballs. So just that corner store vibe, right? Kind of gone.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the growing up. It's interesting, by living in the Mills in Lawrence the last 6 years, one area that I do still see the corner stores in a different level is Lawrence, by the way. There's a corner store or bodega or whatever it is almost on every corner, and it seems like people who actually live in that area, that's their store or whatever. But yeah, I think that stuff's a lost art. All right, my third one is something that I was wondering if you would put this in, because we've had some lengthy, passionate conversations about this, and I am wondering if your opinion has changed. But youth sports specialization. So when we grew up, first of all, no sport was a year-round sport. So I can remember, and this is true, most people will agree with me. During the fall, you either played football, soccer was just starting out, by the way, football, or maybe a cross country or something like that. And then in the wintertime, you were legitimately a basketball player or a hockey player. And then when the spring came around, you were a baseball player. If you were a girl, you're a softball player. There was some track. That was just really before lacrosse. And then the summertime was no sports, and you just played whatever you wanted to play. I can remember living at the park playing basketball, but then playing baseball in the afternoon, in different likes with that. Right now, the specialization, I got some crazy parents that are telling me their fourth grader is going to specialize in basketball, and the parent's 5'2" and her husband's 5'6", and the kid's probably going to be 5'3", and they think that this kid's going to go to the pros when he should be experimenting with all sports. The other thing is, people will tell you the more sports you play, it's going to help you with other sports. I mean, we're looking at injuries right now, which I do a lot of discussion with people of overuse of but right now, this youth sports specialization, and then going with our first point, everything is controlled. There's got to be coaches. There's got to be trainers. I mean, I learned to play basketball just playing against old guys that never even passed me the ball. And now everybody has a special trainer. Everybody has a videographer right now. Everybody has their social media expert that's going to talk them up. So I miss the fact that there was youth sports used to just be not as specialized.
Yeah, and I kind of lumped that in with our both of our number ones. It just that specialization, and it drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. And to your point, you just want to associate fun. Most of these kids aren't even playing college ball, right? Most of the kids, and how many are going to the pros? I mean, X amount. You have one George Nang for every 100,000 kids. I mean, it's crazy. So just learn to have a fun experience with each sport, And if you're a good athlete, I think somebody once said the cream of the crop always rises, right? So if you're a good athlete, you're going to get there. And I think, unfortunately, now by the time you get, as a mid-level teenager, you probably do have to pick something. But in your younger years, enjoy everything and just have fun. And I think that's one thing I see about my grandson, who's a pretty good athlete. He can't wait for the season to change. He loves his best sport's probably baseball, but he's now playing flag football and he loves it. He can't wait. Now he just wants to play catch with the football. And when the winter comes, he'll just want to shoot the basketball around, right? Then spring comes, he'll play his baseball. So he really enjoys the changes of sports, but I hope that continues, but I fear it won't.
Yeah, at some point. Keep him doing this now. He's still a young guy. The reality is when he gets to ninth grade, I could see him going from 3 sports to 2 sports and then maybe even going to 1 sport if he's really good in one of those things.
Yeah, we'll see.
You'll see what happens with that. All right, did you have another one, or are you out?
Yeah, no, I have, yeah. Maybe I do have 5. So, and this is a weird one. This is a weird one, too. It's not as serious as the other one. But I remember, saving up my box tops and sending away for a gift. I remember having alphabets, and if you got 26 alphabet box tops, you could send away and get a basketball. And I remember I would get all 20. I was so excited when the basketball came. And I remember we knew the mailman. And I would ask, I'd be out there every day asking him if the basketball came. And he goes, when the day it came, he comes out, he has it, and he takes it out of the bag, and he takes a couple of shots with me at my driveway hoop. It just, right, that's kind of summarizes the good old days. So pretty good.
Kids would not even know what box tops are these days. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, number 4 for me kind of goes with our topic today and a couple of things we've talked about. I miss the fact that movies were a big thing to go to. I remember, standing in line for movies, whether it be date night or whatever with my friends. Now, going to the movies is really not a big deal. Most movies last about a week in the movies, and then you can get it on Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. So I kind of missed the whole movie experience. It used to be so big, and now it's not big, and then the prices to even go are crazy of what you do to get in, how much, if you even bought any food there or whatever. So the old days where movies was such a big social piece, especially for kids who were high school kids.
Yeah, and that's a good one. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, give me one more.
All right, and last one is just going to be candy. Some candies I miss. I'm gonna go with Sky Bars and Chuckles.
Chuckles are still. I like a Chuckles. They're
Yeah.
still around.
Yeah, but they're hard to find. Actually, yeah, one of my friends knew I liked Chuckles, and he somewhere he saw them, and he bought me a thing of Chuckles. Pretty good.
So when you leave here today, go to Artie's Corner, take a right. Right there, they do have Chuckles.
Okay, there we
Because
go.
I'm a Chuckles guy too. So
Yeah. And do you remember Sky Bars?
I do. I was never a Sky Bar guy.
Yeah, I always liked them.
Had
And-
4 different
Yeah,
types of
like-
candies on the bar.
Yeah,
right?
my favorite was the marshmallow one. They
Yeah.
had like caramel marshmallow. I forget what they. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to get a little controversial with my last one. And it's something we've talked about a lot, and it's actually kind of sad. I miss that we can't have a free a conversation around politics these days. And over the last 10 to 12 years now, you and I have actually been in situations where, verbal fights ended up having to talk when someone has an opinion, where I remember not just being a young person, but being an adult well into my 40s, that we could have a different opinion. I consider myself an independent, but I could see some stuff on the Republican side. I could see stuff on the Democratic side. The fact that right now it's a taboo subject, we've even talked about we can't talk about politics here on the podcast, which is probably true. But the reality is that's sad. We can't talk about politics. And I don't know if that'll ever change, but I do remember having healthy conversations with my father about politics, older brother, just friends. And I just think back of some ugly times that we had just sitting in the tavern down the street. Basically, it just never ended till we all made a decision, let's not talk about politics.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, and people avoid it, right? And people obviously avoid it at all costs. And, probably sometimes it makes sense to do that because there are such strong feelings on both sides and down the middle and all across the country, So it's a tough one. And I do feel like I have friends that have different opinions than I do, that we can talk reasonably about it. And it's good to get the perspective of something you so disagree with. And if you can do it rationally, sometimes, because I think you need to talk this stuff out. But again, what do I know? And we said we weren't going to touch this subject, and this is probably why. But if you can talk to somebody about it and kind of just work through their reasoning and and go back and forth on it, that's not unhealthy, But it's unhealthy if it doesn't end well.
Right. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have a quick honorable mention or anything, or is you pretty much covered?
No, I really didn't. I think the candy bars kind of do it.
Okay. Last one I had, just an honorable mention. You'll get a kick out of this because you will definitely not agree with this, but I think what's gotten lost with dress code over the years, as I'm looking at Scott wearing the same cargo shorts he's been wearing every podcast, but when I look at teachers these days, I don't think people have to wear shirts and ties or whatever, but I look at a lot of people right now, even coaching now since the pandemic, and I'm okay with we don't do shirts and ties and suit jackets or whatever, but I'd like to see dress code, and I'm not saying every school has to have a dress code, but man, as someone who works with kids all the time and has worked with kids all the time, some of the dress code stuff is just out of control. And that's something that's never going to go backwards, I don't think, but it's frustrating, and that's where I'm probably sounding old on that one.
Yeah, and I'll respectfully disagree, but I'll take your point that maybe some people carry it over the top, but I'm not a dress code guy. I hate dressing up to go to dinner. I just don't. Going to work, I always hated dressing up. I hated wearing a tie. So.
Do you still own a pair of shoes?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
How much use does that get a year?
It depends how many funerals and weddings I go to. Yeah.
All right. So I hope that those were some of the things that, you took from what Scott and I feel, and I'm sure you guys have tons of other things. And again, we can't go back, but there are some things that I kind of long for a little bit. And I do believe that, maybe some of this stuff can make a comeback. And I'll use the example of bookstores. So I'm a big bookstore guy, although now I'm a library guy. But I used to love sitting in Barnes & Nobles for hours just reading and hanging out. And bookstores were starting to die. But I do know that bookstores are actually making a comeback. So we'll see if any of this other stuff makes a comeback. All right, let's jump into the podcast regular brewery review. I think Scott's going to focus on something from his trip north.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bissell Brothers up in Portland, Maine. So good, and again, I'll be quick here, but very good brewery. It's on Thompson Point, right off 295. It's just outside, like downtown Portland. It's maybe 2 miles away. Really good spot. For most people probably know some of the Bissell beers. Substance is one that's their flagship. You see that everywhere. They have a bunch of good IPAs. They have something called Reciprocal, something called Swish, which they don't always have. They have limited releases of those, but those are fantastic beers. Great food spot. In fact, they've actually turned it, like a lot of breweries, have turned it more into a restaurant than just a brewery, because their food went from when they initially opened, it was more waiting in line, hoping you got some beer, and maybe you get some fries or something. But now they run the gamut on the menu. They have a bunch of stuff, and it's all really good. So I know they're open 7 days a week up in Portland, and they do not take dogs. I know that. I looked that up, and I think that has to do specifically with the restaurant. They cited health reasons for that. So, but really good brewery. Recommend it. One of the downside is when you go there, you have to pay for parking, which they just not recently, probably 3 or 4 years now. But there used to be free parking. Now it's all metered. That's kind of a pain in the neck. But they do enforce it too. So which is ridiculous. But they always have a guy walking around to make sure you're metered. And I'll take a sidebar here too, because one thing I hate, and maybe this should have made the other list, is how you just can't pay for parking. You have to figure out in your app, and I'm 100. So I'm sitting out there going, what's my license plate? And I'm yelling at the thing, and it's just so frustrating.
It's everywhere. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
I've taken a risk a few times up in Maine. There's a couple of restaurants we like up there where at nighttime I've just kind of said I'm not going to pay for parking and hope my car doesn't get towed. But right now the worst thing is going to a town forest like Carroll Park Town State Forest. You actually have to pay for parking now, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
And again, in the town forest, you probably don't have great service.
Right.
So, and you're trying to look up the thing. You forget your license plate. You got to walk over and look at your license plate number. I should probably know my license plate number, right?
You should at this point.
Yeah, but it's just, and it takes me forever. And I have my wife do it. Then I get frustrated. It's taking her too long. She goes, "You want to do it?" I go, "Nope, I'm good."
Yeah, I think we both totally agree on that. So, all right, the brewery review, Bissell Brothers, check it out. Scott, how many times did you go there last week? Just go once?
I just went once to Bissell. I didn't. We hit Good Fire. We hit up Good Fire. My son-in-law and my daughter went to a ton of breweries up there. They went to one probably every day. I just went to. I can't keep up, man. It's just my age. So, we went out at night, but mostly to restaurants. Not too many breweries, but man, Maine is just. King's Head up there. Yeah. Again, just it's a foodie and beer drinker's paradise.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to Portland, obviously both of us are pretty high on this city. Some of the minor sports, the venues are actually doing a football venue up there next. So, yeah, Portland's a great city. All right, thanks for the review. We're about to wrap up this week. I did get some feedback from people that thought our suggestions/recommendations for resources was helpful. So I suggest, Scott, that maybe the next time we meet, we come in with a couple of new ones for people.
Sure. I just want to say I had one pushback that said, why you're having a podcast about retirement, but you're steering everybody else in another direction. Why the hell are you doing that? And
how'd you answer that?
I just kind of laughed. I said, "We're not experts. This is for more detailed information, financial information. Just people who kind of live it as a profession." So
yeah, I think I respect the comment, but I would say that we're just adding some more stuff because we're not experts. But resources are great, whether you take advantage of it or you think we're just passing the buck to go. That's up to you. But I on the contrary, had some people that said, "Hey, good, I checked out, want one of the ones that Scott recommended, blah blah blah, and they got something out of it. So we'll continue if we see anyone. I'm actually doing some stuff on social media, following some people that retired and getting a different perspective, just kind of seeing what people's life are in retirement, which is interesting to me too. So we'll touch base on that. All right, we're running at 54 minutes, Scott. Anything else you want to add to episode number 11?
No, my final thought would just be the Red Sox have some major decisions to make. We'll see what they do and see how it goes when they start the Yankee series. So it's going to be interesting.
So when you say major decisions, as a baseball expert, what are you saying?
Well, I mean, their infield. Kinsler has already said that he's going to he'll go to Worcester. And he thinks that the guys who have been playing so well deserve the shot. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Story. I think Anthony's a no-brainer. I think you got to put him in the lineup at DH or left field. I think that's an upgrade, both positions. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of decisions. Sogard, see how Sogard does. His father played football at Tufts, by the way.
Oh, did he play with you?
He did. He was 2 years older. Great. He looks just like his son.
Wow.
It's unreal. It looks like the kid back in college. Very good football.
I'm sure you're watching every game right now with your beloved Sox.
I am. Sadly.
All right, shameless plug for my guy George Niang, who signed a one-year deal with the Golden State Warriors, $3.9 million. This is George's 11th year in the NBA. For people that thought he was never going to even be a Division I basketball player, he has exceeded everybody's expectations. He's excited to head out next week to play with Steph and be coached by Steve Kerr and the rest of the crew. George actually had a half a year with their G League team before he was signed by Utah, so it's kind of going home a little bit for George, but very proud of him representing the Merrimack Valley, and we wish him the best of luck.
When did he sign that contract? I did not hear
He signed that contract 2 days ago.
Oh, wow. Because I've been looking, and I haven't seen
If you
anything.
were on social media instead of just the Boston Globe, you would know that already.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
So shout out, George. We love you, man. All right, we're going to wrap up episode 11. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. As usual, if you got any ideas or whatever, shoot us a text, an email, a phone call, whatever it is. So with that said, I'm Rick Gorman. He's Scott Chandler, and we are off the clock.
Thanks, guys.